Have you ever been listening to a Quranic recitation and just been completely captivated by the sound? I mean, how does it get that rhythm, that power? Well, it's not just someone reading. It's an incredible art form, really, a science of sound with these super precise rules. And today, we're going to dive into that source code. We're going to uncover the hidden mechanics that turn the written word into something you don't just hear, but you feel.
So yeah, what is it that takes this from just reading off a page to something that's truly art? The answer is in a discipline called tajweed. It literally means to make good or to beautify. Basically, it's the science of getting the pronunciation of the Quran just right, so it sounds exactly the way it's been recited for centuries. We're going to look at just a few of these rules from a live lesson on Surah Al-Baqarah and see how they work in real time.
Okay, first up, we've got this really cool rule that adds a kind of subtle, percussive bounce to the sound. It's a perfect example of how a tiny detail can have a huge impact on the overall feel and, the clarity of the recitation.
So, take a look at this phrase right here. The word we're zeroing in on is aqraratam. Now, I want you to focus on that very first letter, the qaf. In this word, it's silent. It doesn't have a vowel on it. So, what happens? Does it just go silent?
Well, no, it triggers a rule called calcula, and the best way to think about it is like a little vibration or an echo. Whenever one of 5 specific consonants, that's qaf, tha, ba, jim, or dal, is silent, you don't just cut the sound off, you actually give it a slight bounce.
So instead of a flat ah, it becomes more like ah. You hear that? A little echo? And the reason this rule exists is actually pretty brilliant. This tiny little adjustment keeps the sound from getting lost or swallowed, making sure every single letter is heard loud and clear. It's like a built-in sound enhancer, giving the words punch and definition.
All right, so we've just seen a rule for adding a sharp little echo. Now let's look at a rule that does the complete opposite. It stretches sounds out. And this is where it gets really interesting, because the exact same rule can act differently depending on where it shows up. It's kind of like a little puzzle the reciter has to solve on the fly.
Okay, let's look at another part of that same verse. The word we're focusing on now is dima'akum. Just listen to how that sounds. Dima'akum. You hear that long ah sound right in the middle?
That stretching of the vowel, that's a rule called mad. It literally just means prolongation. But here's the catch, and this is a big one. Not all these stretches are the same. The reason for the stretch and where it happens in the word changes everything. Let's break down the 2 main ways this puzzle plays out.
And here's the answer to that puzzle. The cause for stretching the sound is usually a specific throat sound called a hamza. The real question is, where is the hamza? On the left, you've got mad muttasil, or connected mad. This is what we saw in dima'akum. See how the long vowel and the hamza are inside the same word, but on the right, you have mad munfasil, separated mad. Here, the long vowel is at the end of one word and the hamza that triggers it is at the very beginning of the next word. A good reciter spots this difference in a split second and knows exactly how long to hold the note. So yeah, context is everything.
Now we come to my absolute favorite part of this whole lesson. It's a piece of advice that is so simple, so physical, that it totally changes how you say one of the trickiest phrases in this section. It's a great reminder that this art isn't just in your head. It's something you do with your whole body. So the phrase is Isa bin Maryam, which means Jesus, son of Mary. Now, according to the instructor, this little spot right here is a huge stumbling block for students. It's that tiny word in the middle, ibn, which means son, that causes all the trouble.
So what's the big deal? Well, the letter ba right there is another one of those kalkala letters we were just talking about. It means that echo, right? But because of the letters right next to it, it's super easy to make it sound really heavy and kind of muddy, almost like ubn instead of a crisp ibn. The echo comes out all wrong, and the whole flow gets broken. So, how do you fix it? The solution is just so elegant. First, you just have to remember that the letters leading up to that beat are light sounds. And then, and here's the secret weapon, you smile. I'm not kidding. Physically smiling when you say isibna actually opens up the sound. That one simple action helps you produce a light, clear, and totally correct kalkala, that perfect little bounce, instead of a heavy, clunky thud. It's a physical hack for a sound problem. It's absolutely brilliant.
So, we've talked about echoes, we've talked about stretches, and we've even talked about smiling to get the right sound. I know, it might seem incredibly detailed, almost microscopic, but all these tiny rules fit together perfectly into a system with a much bigger purpose.
So let's just do a quick recap of what we found. Qalqala adds that rhythmic echo to make sure everything is crystal clear. Mad stretches out vowels based on very precise, context-based rules. And physical techniques, yep, like a simple smile, can be the key to unlocking the perfect sound. Each rule is like a single gear in a much bigger machine, a whole system designed for one main goal: preservation.
And that right there is the ultimate why. These aren't just suggestions for making things sound nice, they're part of a deep discipline designed to preserve the exact sound of the Quran, just as it was meant to be recited, completely unchanged for centuries. It's all about protecting the integrity of the meaning, the music that's already in the text, and that deep, real connection to its origin.
So the next time you hear a Quranic recitation, I want you to listen differently. Really listen for those subtle echoes, the carefully measured vowels, the lightness of a smile that you can't see but you can definitely hear. Because now you know the secret. It's not just a melody, it's a code. And once you know the code, can you ever really hear it the same way again?